Your brain is not a machine you were born to obey. It is the most extraordinary living system in the universe, designed to learn, adapt, and grow with every experience. Yet most people move through life without realizing that the quality of their mind determines the quality of their world. They wake up to noise, to habits they didn't choose, to thoughts that drag them backward, and they call it normal. But nothing about your brain is ordinary. It is the most powerful creator you will ever possess, and when you learn to train it, to focus it, feed it, and master it, you begin to see how limitless your potential truly is. The brain you train becomes the life you live. From the moment you wake, your brain is running patterns, loops of memory, emotion, and routine. Some of those patterns build you, others quietly destroy you. The key to transformation is awareness, realizing that every thought is an instruction. When you say, "I'm tired," your brain finds proof of exhaustion. When you say, "I'm ready," it starts generating energy. It listens to the language you speak inside your own head, and it obeys. The training begins with this simple truth: your thoughts are commands, not commentary. Speak wisely, because your brain is always listening. Training your brain doesn't start with complexity, it starts with clarity. Ask yourself what you truly want your life to represent. Not what you want to avoid, but what you want to build. The brain is goal-driven, it needs direction like a compass needs north. If you feed it confusion, it drifts. But if you give it a clear vision, it begins to filter the entire world through that lens. Every piece of information you absorb, every conversation you have, every challenge you face, your brain starts to align them with your purpose. That's why people with a strong why seem unstoppable. Their brains are trained to find solutions, not excuses. The first act of training is focus. Focus is the gateway through which all success enters. But in a world that rewards distraction, focus has become rare, and rare things are valuable. Every time you direct your attention, you're telling your brain what matters. The problem is that most people focus on what they fear, what they lack, or what they cannot control. The brain amplifies whatever it focuses on, turning worries into walls. To train your brain, you must reclaim your attention. When negative thoughts appear, do not fight them, redirect them. Say, "What can I learn? What's my next move?" You're not denying reality, you're choosing leadership over reaction. Focus is not about ignoring problems, it's about mastering them through clarity. Then comes discipline. Discipline is mental muscle. Your brain, like your body, gets stronger only under pressure. When you wake up early, read instead of scroll, choose water instead of sugar, finish the task you promised yourself you would, each small victory sends a signal to your brain: I am reliable. The more often you keep promises to yourself, the faster your brain rewires its sense of identity. It stops labeling you as inconsistent or weak and starts recognizing you as powerful. That's how confidence is built, not through compliments, but through consistency. Every habit is a groove carved into the neural surface of your mind. The deeper the groove, the easier the behavior. That's why bad habits feel automatic, they've been rehearsed thousands of times. To change them, you don't erase old grooves, you create new ones. Every time you choose the new action, even once, you start a new neural path. Repeat it, and the path widens. Keep repeating, and the old one fades. That's neuroplasticity in action, the brain's ability to reshape itself based on what you do, think, and feel most often. You are literally sculpting your brain with every choice. But there's another part of the brain few people train, the emotional center. Your emotions are powerful signals, not enemies. When fear rises, it's your brain saying, "We are entering new territory." When anxiety appears, it's asking for preparation, not panic. Instead of reacting, start observing. Say to yourself, "This is my brain doing its job. It's protecting me." Then choose how you want to respond. That pause, just a few seconds, changes everything. It's the space where you move from automatic reaction to conscious decision. And that's where freedom lives. As you train your brain, you'll notice resistance. It will show up as boredom, self-doubt, or fatigue. That's not failure, that's adaptation. The brain doesn't like new routines because they cost energy. But the same way lifting weights breaks down muscle to rebuild it stronger, mental resistance is how your brain upgrades. If you stop when it hurts, you teach your mind that discomfort means danger. If you continue, you teach it that discomfort means growth. Over time, it learns resilience. Everything you consume becomes part of your mental diet. Words are food for thought. The music you listen to, the shows you watch, the people you spend time with, all of them feed your brain's chemistry. Surround yourself with negativity, and your brain produces stress hormones. Surround yourself with inspiration, and it releases dopamine, the chemical of motivation. Your environment is training you, whether you notice it or not. So build an environment that reflects your future, not your past. The second layer of mental training is imagination. Your brain cannot distinguish vividly imagined experiences from real ones. When you visualize yourself succeeding, speaking with confidence, finishing the project, your neurons fire in the same patterns as if you were truly doing it. This rehearsal strengthens the circuit for success before it happens. The greatest athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs use visualization not as fantasy but as programming. They see it, feel it, repeat it, and their brains accept it as inevitable. When the real moment arrives, the mind has already lived it hundreds of times. Yet none of this works without gratitude. Gratitude is the emotional gym for your brain. When you focus on what you already have, your brain releases serotonin and dopamine, the same chemicals responsible for happiness and motivation. Grateful people are not lucky, they are neurologically trained to notice the good. This doesn't mean ignoring pain, it means choosing perspective. Even in hardship, you can ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single question turns suffering into strength. A grateful mind is a trained mind, because it sees opportunity where others see endings. As you continue to train, you'll realize something profound. Success is not about adding more, but removing what no longer serves you. Most of the limits you feel are mental clutter, old stories, borrowed fears, inherited beliefs. To train your brain fully, you must declutter your mind. Sit in silence each day, even for 5 minutes. Watch your thoughts without judgment. You'll begin to see which ones serve you and which ones sabotage you. Then, consciously replace the destructive ones with empowering ones. Thought by thought, your brain learns a new truth, that you are in control. And as this realization deepens, your inner voice changes tone. The critic becomes the coach. The doubt becomes drive. The hesitation becomes hunger. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start saying, "How can I make this happen?" That is the shift every warrior of the mind must make, from fear to focus, from chaos to clarity. Once your brain learns that it works for you, not against you, your entire life reorganizes around possibility. When you start living with a trained mind, the world around you begins to respond differently. People sense your calmness, challenges lose their power to intimidate you. You begin to understand that control was never about managing the outside world but mastering your inner responses. A trained brain does not seek perfect conditions, it creates progress under imperfect ones. When others wait for motivation, you move through discipline. When others complain about lack of time, you use the minutes they waste. Training your brain is training your attention to stay where it matters, to invest energy only in what builds you, never in what drains you. The true power of mental mastery lies in how you choose your focus moment by moment. Your brain follows the patterns you set. If you feed it fear each morning, it will search for danger all day. But if you feed it courage, it will look for opportunities instead. The most powerful habit you can build is beginning every day with direction. Before you check your phone, before you talk to anyone, take 60 seconds to tell your brain what today means. Today I will move forward. Today I will be calm and productive. Today I will use my energy wisely. It may sound simple, but repetition shapes identity. You become the sentences you repeat. Over time, those tiny daily declarations carve new grooves into your neural pathways until positivity becomes automatic. The untrained brain reacts, the trained brain responds. Reaction is fast but blind, response is slow but wise. When anger, doubt, or frustration arise, the untrained mind explodes outward, spilling emotion everywhere. The trained mind pauses, breathes, observes. In that breath lies freedom, the power to decide your next move consciously. Every time you pause before you act, you are rewiring your emotional circuitry. You are teaching your brain that it serves your values, not your impulses. As you continue this training, self-talk becomes your most important tool. The language you use with yourself shapes your inner reality. Most people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to someone they love. They criticize, belittle, and repeat stories of failure. The brain absorbs this language as truth. To change your life, you must change the way you speak to yourself. Replace "I always mess up" with "I'm still learning." Replace "I'm not good enough" with "I'm getting better every day." It's not about lying to yourself, it's about programming your brain to look for growth instead of defeat. Encouragement is not weakness, it's direction. Another crucial part of brain training is learning to manage uncertainty. The human brain craves predictability, it feels safe when it knows what's coming next. But growth requires stepping into the unknown, where control fades and possibility begins. Every time you take a risk, your brain sounds an alarm, trying to protect you from pain. You must learn to thank that alarm, then move forward anyway. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear, it means moving while afraid. Each time you do, your brain adjusts its definition of safety. It learns that new does not mean dangerous. Eventually, it starts associating growth with excitement rather than anxiety. That's when transformation accelerates. Consistency matters more than intensity. Training your brain is not about massive bursts of motivation, it's about steady repetition. Small, daily victories accumulate until they form a new identity. Read 10 minutes a day. Meditate 5 minutes a day. Write your goals for 1 minute a day. These habits seem too small to matter, but they are neurons firing, connections strengthening, beliefs solidifying. It's not what you do once, it's what you repeat that defines your mind. If you stop feeding your growth, the brain reverts to old wiring. Keep feeding it, and it becomes unstoppable. Your brain also learns through movement. Physical exercise doesn't just build your body, it sharpens your mind. When you move, blood flow increases, feeding oxygen and nutrients to your neurons. Exercise releases chemicals that boost memory, focus, and mood. It's a natural training ground for mental toughness. When you push through a workout, your brain learns endurance. When you choose one more repetition despite fatigue, it learns perseverance. Every sweat, every step, every breath and discomfort teaches your brain a lesson. I can handle more than I thought. That belief transfers into every area of life. Silence is another powerful form of training. In silence, the mind reveals what it's hiding. You hear the noise inside you, the worries, regrets, endless chatter, and you begin to understand how much energy they consume. When you sit quietly, your brain resists at first, it craves stimulation. But with practice, silence becomes your sanctuary. It teaches you to separate thought from truth, emotion from decision. It strengthens your ability to observe instead of react. In a noisy world, silence becomes a superpower. A trained brain also understands the importance of failure. Every mistake contains data. When something doesn't work, your brain gains feedback, information it can use to adapt. But when you label failure as final, your brain shuts down learning. The greatest innovators, athletes, and leaders all share one trait: they fail fast, learn fast, and move forward faster. They train their brains to see failure not as punishment but as progress. The question they ask is never why me, but what next? That shift turns setbacks into fuel. To train your brain for resilience, you must practice reframing. Reframing is the art of changing the meaning of an event. When something goes wrong, most people focus on what they lost. The trained brain asks, "What can this teach me?" That single question transforms stress into strategy. It activates the problem-solving regions of the brain instead of the fear centers. The more you reframe, the faster your brain recovers from adversity. Eventually, challenges stop breaking you and start building you. Your brain also thrives on curiosity. Learning new things keeps it alive and adaptable. Read widely. Ask questions. Explore subjects outside your comfort zone. Curiosity opens neural pathways that creativity and intelligence depend on. When you stop learning, your brain begins to age. When you keep learning, you stay young, mentally and emotionally. The brain loves novelty, it's wired for exploration. Every time you experience something new, your mind becomes more flexible, more open to change. Relationships are another classroom for mental growth. The people you choose to be around are mirrors, reflecting your own mindset back to you. Spend time with complainers, and you'll think in complaints. Spend time with creators, and you'll think in possibilities. A trained brain seeks out people who challenge, inspire, and stretch its perspective. It listens more than it speaks, because listening is how you learn. Communication is not just about words, it's about energy. Your brain synchronizes with the people you spend time with, a phenomenon called neural mirroring. That's why your circle shapes your future. Choose wisely. As you continue this journey, there will be moments of doubt. You will question whether the work is worth it. You will crave the comfort of your old patterns. That's the exact moment when training matters most. The untrained brain gives up when progress is invisible. The trained brain trusts the process. It knows that growth is not always visible day to day, it's happening beneath the surface, in silence, in small invisible rewires. You must learn to keep going without applause. The real transformation is quiet. It happens when no one is watching, when you push through the ordinary days. One of the greatest lessons in brain training is that energy flows where attention goes. You can't stop negative thoughts from appearing, but you can stop feeding them. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every thought is a seed. The ones you water grow. If you water doubt, it spreads like weeds. If you water belief, it blossoms into strength. You are the gardener of your own consciousness. Train your brain to focus on what you can control, and peace will follow. Train it to focus on what you cannot control, and anxiety will dominate. The choice is yours, every single moment. With practice, the brain becomes your ally. It starts working with you instead of against you. You begin to notice synchronicities, opportunities, and small wins that were invisible before. That's not luck, that's attention. When your mind is trained, it can see patterns where others see chaos. It connects dots faster, learns faster, adapts faster. You stop surviving and start designing. Your life becomes a reflection of your mental clarity. As the days turn into months and the training continues, something subtle but extraordinary begins to happen. The noise inside your head grows quieter. The doubts that once ruled you begin to lose their authority. You start noticing your thoughts before they control you. You pause more, react less, and think deeper. You become the observer of your mind instead of its prisoner. That is the true meaning of mastery, not perfection, but awareness. Once you are aware, you can choose, and once you can choose, you are free. Freedom doesn't mean life gets easy, it means you become strong enough to face it as it is. You stop waiting for external calm and build calm within yourself. You stop chasing motivation and build discipline that doesn't depend on mood. Your brain, once scattered and restless, becomes sharp, stable, and deeply focused. You begin to realize that everything you experience in life passes first through the filter of your brain. If that filter is dirty, clogged with fear, resentment, and self-doubt, you will never see the world clearly. Training your brain is cleaning that filter. It is learning to see things as they are, not as your fears paint them. The more you clean it, the more light enters. You start seeing beauty in ordinary things, strength in setbacks, and purpose in pain. You begin to live, not react. You begin to create, not imitate. The trained brain becomes a lens of clarity that transforms the same world everyone else sees into something far more beautiful and meaningful. But this transformation demands patience. The mind is ancient and stubborn. It doesn't change because you decide once. It changes because you decide again and again, every day, in small moments. When you fall back into old habits, don't punish yourself, redirect yourself. Training is not a straight line, it's a spiral. You revisit the same lessons at deeper levels of understanding. Each time you return to them, you are not failing, you are refining. Growth is invisible until one day it isn't. You'll catch yourself responding differently to things that used to break you. You'll notice that peace has become your default. That is the quiet victory of a trained mind. There will still be storms, but the storms will no longer shake you the same way. You'll feel the emotion, but you won't become it. You'll acknowledge the fear, but you'll move anyway. That's when you realize that training your brain was never about escaping difficulty, it was about building strength that difficulty cannot destroy. The purpose of training is not to control every thought, but to choose which thoughts deserve your attention. You don't need to silence your mind, you need to lead it. Your brain follows the energy of certainty. When you say, "I am enough," it starts collecting evidence. When you say, "I can handle this," it mobilizes resources you didn't know you had. It doesn't ask if you're ready, it becomes ready because you commanded it to be. Your brain was designed to serve you, not scare you. Every fear it generates is a request for courage. Every doubt is an invitation to learn. Every failure is a chance to rewire. The mind grows stronger every time you choose faith over fear, gratitude over resentment, action over hesitation. And the miracle of it all is that your brain will always follow your lead. It does not resist forever, it adapts. It wants you to win, it simply needs direction. That direction is your responsibility. And it begins with one decision, to stop being a victim of your own thoughts and start becoming their architect. Imagine what happens when millions of small, consistent moments of mental training accumulate over years. You wake up one morning and realize you don't think the same way you used to. You no longer waste time on what you can't control. You no longer spiral into overthinking. You no longer talk yourself out of dreams. You simply move with quiet confidence. Your goals no longer feel distant, they feel inevitable, because your mind is aligned with them. That alignment is what people call luck, but it's not luck, it's mastery. It's the reward of every silent morning you spent choosing focus over distraction, gratitude over complaint, courage over fear. Those choices were the real training. They built the neural architecture of your destiny. At this stage, you no longer chase motivation, you embody momentum. Your brain is no longer your opponent, it's your teammate. It anticipates your goals, adapts to your rhythm, and helps you create the life you once only imagined. You understand now that every emotion, every reaction, every thought is a tool in your hands. You can build or destroy with it. You can chain yourself with old beliefs or set yourself free with new ones. The brain does not judge, it simply obeys. Whatever story you repeat, it becomes your reality. So tell yourself stories that make you powerful. Tell yourself that you can rise again, that you can start over, that you can learn anything. The mind becomes what you tell it, so speak with intention. In the quiet of your own heart, you will discover that this journey was never about controlling your mind as much as it was about befriending it. You will see that your brain is not your enemy, It is a brilliant servant that simply needed guidance. It needed you to take the lead, to show it where to go, to feed it what nourishes it. Once trained, it will carry you further than you ever imagined. It will give you focus when life gets noisy, patience when life gets hard, and courage when everything feels uncertain. That is the reward of mental mastery, not perfection, but peace. When you reach that level of clarity, your world expands. You start noticing potential in every challenge and purpose in every delay. You begin to trust life's timing because your mind no longer fights it. You stop needing validation because your brain now runs on inner approval, not outer applause. You start living from intention instead of reaction. That's when success stops being a chase and becomes a byproduct of who you are. You attract what matches your mindset, and now your mindset is power, calm, and faith. Every time you fall, you rise faster. Every time you fail, you learn deeper. Every time you win, you stay humble. You realize that mastery was never about control, it was about surrendering to growth. You understand that the mind you trained is now training your reality. You live in alignment with your best self, and that changes everything. The people around you feel it. You inspire without trying. You lead without forcing. You move through life with quiet strength. And one day, when you look back, you'll see how far you've come. You'll see that the person who once doubted everything learned to trust themselves completely. You'll see that every struggle was not a punishment but a preparation. You'll see that the hardest days taught you how to think, how to breathe, how to believe. You'll see that your brain, the very thing that once held you back, became the engine that carried you forward. That is the miracle of human potential. The mind that creates your limits also holds the key to breaking them. So train your brain to serve your future, not your fears. Feed it with knowledge, stretch it with discipline, guide it with purpose, and fill it with gratitude. When your thoughts become intentional, your life becomes unstoppable. You don't need to be fearless, you just need to keep moving forward with a mind that knows how to follow your command. Every second you spend training your brain is a step toward freedom. Because when your mind is trained, nothing external can break you. You become the calm in chaos, the strength in struggle, and the light in your own darkness. That is what it truly means to master yourself. That is how you train your brain.